Yes, I'm absolutely delighted. We've got an open goal legend. I don't know if you know this, Jim, but you're an open goal legend. So many of the boys have had on Lockie, this man, Fulton, even guys like Ryan McGowan. The stories have been tremendous. Thanks very much for coming on.
No problem.
First things first, how's old Fabian Delph, the health?
I'm keeping fine. Never felt better actually. So
You're looking great.
A wee bit before it happened, I was a wee bit, feeling no great, and I thought I was just getting older, playing with grandkids and that. But no, it was obviously something that's been fixed. I'm absolutely brand new.
Back on the golf course.
Back on the golf course. Funny enough, when I first came out of the hospital, they were saying to me I was passed away for 25 seconds. That's what I tell everybody. But when I was golfing a couple of weeks ago with Mike Corky, it was his wife, it was in the ambulance time. So after the golf, he said, I've got some in the car for you. So it goes across and he comes back with this, I thought it was money, but it was a big wad. It was a graph, from the ECGs.
Right.
And he says, I says, where does it tell you 25 seconds? He says, 25 seconds? He says, it was 4 minutes that you were away for. I says, what? He says, so I said, just about gave me another heart attack on the spot. But,
4 minutes, dearie me, eh?
4 minutes.
Scary stuff, eh?
Scary stuff,
So now you're just living every day as if it's your last?
Never felt any better, and I just go about it. You didn't think about it so much, you just really, I've been positive with it and said, look, and if I had something wrong with me, it's been fixed. There was no damage to the other arteries were fine and the heart was fine. So, as I said, I felt better. I've been golfing a lot. I was golfing within 3 weeks.
Brilliant. I must say I was shouting myself for this. Please don't shout at us because it sounds like it's scary. Right, Jim, I'm after a bit of advice. You had to deal with Kevin Kyle's pish for years. I now need to deal with any advice on how to... Some man, innit?
I don't know why I took him, he was that much not so much a problem, but he just goes on and on and on about things all the time, and he just makes up stories to make him look good.
He does, doesn't he?
So,
I'm glad you've said that.
He's a great lad, he was great, he done great for me. In fact, when I signed him, it started a way back when we went to Durham. I think Lockie would be in a squad at Kilmarnock then, and we played a friendly against Sunderland when Mick McCarthy was the manager.
Right.
And of course Kyle played in that game, and he actually one of our guys caught Mick McCarthy's name, and it was Colin Nish. He was asking about him. I said, I'll do a straight swap for Kyle, because he was playing in the game as well. Right. So he says, oh no, he says he'll be in the first team shortly and all. I think he'd played a couple of games in the first team at that time. So I kept an eye on his career and everything, hopefully try to get him. And the fact is, when I got him, I was in the hospital when he made his debut. And I gave him stick when I came out because he should have had a hat trick that day. But he scored the winning goal, so
calling this for Kevin Kyle. Brains of Britain, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, just on your playing career, Jim, how would you summarise your time at Hearts?
Well, obviously it was because of being a Hearts supporter, it was just great to go there. I was here for a number of years as a kid, going on the ground staff and my holidays for the school and things like that. In '69 I went full time, and like a lot of careers at Hearts were up and down a wee bit there, Some players you're in and off when they come in, like say Donald Ford and Jim Townsend, all these boys, and it was tough times, but I can look back and say, well, I played under 7 managers and was here till I virtually retired, went part-time because I was going into a different type of job and I needed time to learn that trade. And obviously get to captain them when they got relegated and bring them back up. Scottish Cup finals with Wolsey was a great experience.
Defeat to Rangers in the Scottish Cup 97-6, something that motivated you to put it right at some point?
Well, I don't know if you think about that, where it's motivated that you get the chance, that you don't know what's ahead of you. So it was just one of those occasions where Hearts didn't get too often to the cup final, and we got there, and we were playing against a great Rangers team who had won the treble, and unfortunately we lost a goal before 3 o'clock, we lost a goal just before half time, we lost a goal just after half time, which really killed the game, but we stuck at it and got a goal late on to make it a bit respectable. But Rangers were a great side, so it was just great to get. It was a great occasion, and very disappointing not to have pulled it off.
At what stage in the playing career did you think about management?
Well, it's funny because when I used to be a player here, I used to go back home, and I always passed by the primary school that was attending. And the janitor there was a boy called Hugh Adams, and he always run the school football match, right? He was getting on a wee bit, but he was always a referee, because the primary schools all used to play against each other, Loreto, Whitecraig, a couple of teams with Pinkie, all these schools at Billy and that, where we all played in the school teams. And of course I used to play in these matches. So coming back, I used to stop and watch the game. And Hugh used to come over and he says, "Oh, the boys are all delighted that you come to the game." What? He says, would you like to referee a couple of games for us? Give the boys a big lift. And I says, "Okay." So, because I was watching them anyway. Right, so I went along, and he was getting on. He was wanting a shot in the sideline. So, and it's funny how you watch in the game, some of the young players from the other clubs that were playing against Walliford Primary School caught my eye, and I thought, he's a terrific little player and blah blah. So I went to Hugh. I says, "Why don't we put a team in the Sunday League as an under 12? I says, "We've got some of the players here. We could get to," and probably that's how I've gone about building teams. It started even at primary school, because I said we could take 2 or 3 from Pinkie, 2 or 3 from 2 or 3 from Loreto, build a team. We gave away a couple of years in terms of age, which is a big thing, as you know, at that age. But we got Walliford. We called ourselves Walliford Welfare Colts. So they were sort of sponsored a little bit by the local Labour club in Walliford, and or the bowling club it was then. And so we put a team out, and we always did very well. Won a trophy, and it was through that you sort of got an interest. In fact, John Haggart, when he became manager, or even when he was coach, he would come down and watch us playing in a few games. And a lot of that team, I think out of that team, I would say there was about, even at that age, we had cut them for a couple of years. We took them up to the under 14 level, and I think about 6 or 7 of them went senior.
Oh, brilliant! So it all started off with refereeing, though. So Willie Collum could be the Hearts manager this time in tenure.
Could be.
And you took a regular job, insurance.
No, that was the way that came about was because I was finishing my career. I'm like a lot of the footballers, I was going to go into the pub trade.
Oh, well, you're right.
Yeah, that's why when I went part time, it was to learn the trade, because a couple of good friends that I used to golf with were publicans and that, and they taught me a lot about the business. And I used to go and spend a few hours each week in their pubs and learn the trade and that. And so we went and got an interview with the brewery. I was going to take over my local pub, because I think with the football connection, the golf connection, it would have been a problem. They were all for it. So I was due to go in. I was waiting. I had 4 months. The boy was on he knew he was leaving in about 4 months. So in that 4 months, I was training with Berwick Rangers, and ex-Hibs player Paul McGlinchey was at there, and he was. Suddenly I got a call next day from his boss, just was chatting at training, and he says, "Would you like to come in and have a chat with me?" I says, "What about?" He says, "We'll come and find that out." I had no idea what I was going into, so I went into Edinburgh, had a chat, because that was a Friday, and on the Monday I was on an induction course, and I said, "I don't know why I'm doing this," because I had no interest in it and that. But I thought, well, I've got 4 months, filling a bit of time, and I ended up doing well, so I ended up with my own little business.
So you chucked the pub game,
Well, I took advice from him. He said, "Look, it's a tough game. You're long hours. It's not getting any easier. If you're doing well at that, you might have to consider it." The 2 lads that had sort of got me on the path to taking the pub, and so I decided, why not? Let's give it a go, because I was doing quite well. And I set up I ended up with my own little business with a lawyer who was, at that time, the law allowed you to do that. And then got a little building society agency and that. So I was doing fine.
Entrepreneur, love it.
Half my wages when I went back, I was making less when I went back into football.
Than what you were making in insurance?
Well, when I got the Berwick Rangers job, there was...
And was it just for the love of the game that you done it then?
£15 a point. I went from earning, and it was about getting them, it was a bonus structure thing. There was no wages that, but I still did my insurance side.
See, when you first started out at Berwick Rangers, did you think you had the knack for management? Did you see yourself being as successful as you were?
Well, that's how it all came about, because I was getting pestered because of who I was in a big sort of played for the Hearts. It was all the Hearts and Hibs players that played for the local club Lauder, and they were pestering me, and the boys were saying, come and take us for a try. I said, look, I've not got time. The insurance is too busy. I'm out at nights and that. Because I knew what would happen. You go along here and if there's three, I'm giving up a night's work and 3 or 4 of them are maybe not turning up for training. That's the last thing I wanted, to waste my time on people. So, God, we got some great turnouts and I decided to get the bug back and go and train and with them, and they were regular. And I said, look, if Hibs or Hearts are playing and you want to change your training, as long as we've got you just turn up training, and great response.
So see, even then you're a man manager, even the stuff like the training nights you can change it if you want. You had that knack of knowing how to deal with players straight away.
Yeah, no problem. And then obviously when I did well at Lauder, because they were a team that was just struggling to stay in that division, so we got them safe, and then I got the chance to go to Hoyle, but I mean, I reckon Wyatt, I mean, that's further away again from, and still having to work at nights.
Did you always want to do it in the actual leagues?
Once I got involved in the game, the bug was back because of being a professional footballer. I just gone in and used the things that I did to get there in the first place, because you've got to have an eye for a player. You've got to know, Berwick Rangers, that was just a crazy situation. They were bottom league, they were cast off, the door was shut.
Yeah.
I didn't get any wages. And there was 2 points for a win. I got £10 a point. That's all I got.
So you took that job on no money? You went from
No money.
And why was that, just to get back into the league?
Well, I knew the people who took the club, who bought the club, and they were local guys who, one of them was, when they had our presentation, we didn't have it in Galashiels, we had it at Lauder, a hotel in Lauder, and he was one of the boys that was going to be on the board after purchasing Berwick Rangers, and he said, you've got to come to us. Said,
would that be one of your best achievements?
Berwick Rangers?
With Berwick Rangers? Is that proper? Is that proper football management?
Well, you'll tell you what task that was. They had no money, right? The team was so bad that they were virtually cast off.
I could have pointed for them.
Right? And the bottom line was that we went we were on St. Gravesy and everything, because we went 22 matches. We never won for 5 weeks. And I was driving home with Lindsay Muir and Billy Brown, who were helping me, and I said, this kind of, I've never, you can't play football in this league. At that time, you could. So I says, well, what we should do is we need to change it, because we've not won for 5 weeks. Fans were a bit, but we had spent so many closed door matches trying to get the best. I even brought people from the East of Scotland League, like I did previously. Got a couple for Gala, a couple for Innerleithen, Brian Thorpe and things like that. And we built a side, got a load of trials with people recommending things, and I built practically a new team in a fortnight. And I said, what we're going to do now is we're going to change how we play. We're just going to thump it long. It's up to John Hughes, who was a centre half, put him up front. I says, we're in the lodge of the hotel, and I said, I've got a hunch. I says, and Lindsay Muir says, a hunch? Billy Brown says, a hunch? I says, yeah. I said, I'll play Yogi up front on Saturday. Yogi? I says, yeah. I says, is
this the Yogi we're talking about?
I says, he runs about too much at centre half for a centre half. I says, because he wants to do everybody's job, so let him do everybody's job up front. And he went, Christ, that's a hunch and a half, Jim, And I says, well, let's play him. So we were playing Cowdenbeath, put him up front. I said, we'll get Ralphie Callaghan. Every time he goes up front, Yogi knock it down to Ralphie Callaghan, he'll find the pass that'll play the other guys in. We went to Cowdenbeath. Now, Berwick's never won a game for all season, right? And Cowdenbeath were going well. We drew 3-3, right? And Yogi scored 2 goals, and I think the centre half was taken to hospital. Right?
That counts as another goal for Yogi.
The following week, there were huge celebrations, because it was the first time for about 3 years that they went 2 weeks without getting. We're undefeated for 2 weeks, because we played the league leaders. Dick Campbell was assistant to John Ritchie, who was the manager, and it was 4-4. Yogi scored a hat-trick, and their 2 centre-halves were taken to hospital. And that's how it came about. So Yogi, but as we went on, Yogi got a £70,000, which was in those days equivalent to £1 million for Berwick Rangers, because they had no money whatsoever. And Yogi, because we'd brought a team, Yogi got a £70,000 move to Swansea.
Wow.
But as you went higher up, you could see that it wasn't, he's probably found his level to do that. He came back, we tried him up front at Falkirk, because I watched his career and I wanted to take him to Falkirk. He didn't go doing too well. He went back into midfield, did a little bit better, but once he went back to centre half, he was outstanding.
Was he as mad then as he is now?
Madder. Madder then, you know, great guy. Great story with him. The first time I went to Berwick Rangers, I'm sitting and he's in the dressing room, we're all, because I'm just being appointed. And I'm sitting waiting till everything settles down, coming down for the bus from Edinburgh. And he walks past me and he says, I want to see the chairman. I said to this, one of the board members, I want to see the chairman. He wanted to know why the previous manager was sacked, he says, because I think he had just signed for the club from Newton Grange Star.
Right.
And it was his pal. He had a choice to go to 2 or 3 clubs, but he's a pal of his dad's. So when he come down, he walked past me again. And he's never said, you know, he just, who's this, you know? Just come from Newton Grange and he's want to see the chairman. So when they come through, all the boys are in the dressing room and they says, when do you want to go through and see them? I says, let them sit half an hour. So they're still murmuring away and could hear a pin drop. Where is he? You know? So the boy comes through again, the kit man, he went, you coming, they're wanting to know when you're coming. I says, let them sit another half hour. So they sat 3.5 hours. When he come back, I said, put him in the bus and get him up the road to Edinburgh. Didn't train. I never spoke to them.
Wow.
So I came down, I was ready for them on the Thursday, though. When they came down the Thursday, I just sat there and I sat there. I could have heard a pin drop. And that's probably how you get the respect. Because I said, any time while I'm here, will anybody even consider talking to the chairman, or you can't who I was getting at, right, or the board, they'll be over my dead body, right? Who the hell do you think you are? You're bottom of the league, you've not won a game, half of will be, you know,
McDonald's next
chance
year.
in the next few weeks to be out the door unless you get your fingers out and start showing that you're worth it. You're bottom of the league. How proud are you of that? I says, because that's what I'm here to do, is to save this club. And I says, I'll not save it with attitudes like that. Best thing I've ever done.
Did he apologise to you?
No, but he can't always sing with. In fact, I told him the story. When the following night after the Tuesday, I went straight to Newton Grange. They hadn't paid the money. We Berwick Rangers couldn't afford it. But I went up there, and I was sitting, Laurie Dunn was the manager in Newton Grange, and there was 15 in a committee sitting. And I went up with the chairman. I says, look, you need, what's the meeting about? I says, you need to take Yogi back. For 2 reasons, after his escapade of walking, right? But I said, I says, we can't afford to pay the money. The club's gone. Just not got a penny. We've saved it by buying it. I mean, the owners bought it for £1. It was out, it was finished. And he says, but we don't want them back. I says, oh, I loved that, because that's what I told them on the Thursday. When I went back, I says, and by the way, I tried to sell you back to, no sell you, I tried to give you back to, and they don't want you. And he went, and of course that brought him down a peg or two. But I agreed I think they get a percentage if he moves on. I said, I'll give you a bigger percentage if he moves on if you want us to keep him. And he done great for me.
Brilliant. Went to Falkirk 1990. Was there any new lessons that you learnt dealing with a higher calibre player? Are they harder to deal with?
I mean, I'd played the game and been in the company of a lot of great players and that with my career here. So that didn't bother me what calibre of player it was. I had enough to know that what I was doing worked. You know, what I believed in and what I was doing worked. And I had success even at starting out at an amateur level, stepping up to East of Scotland, stepping up to Berwick Rangers. So it was just a case. Though I've got to say, when I went to Falkirk, I was put under enormous pressure. They appointed Davy Holmes, who had gone about telling a great chairman, by the way, and a great guy, but he was the figurehead for the owners. You know, and a couple of directors went, but they appointed him as a local guy, and he was a big Falkirk fan, even though he was Rangers chairman. And he had promised, I think all the fans were expecting Terry Butcher or somebody, a big, Graham Roberts was the name mentioned. Of course, they get Jim Jefferies for Berwick Rangers. And the fans were a wee bit up in arms. And I was banned to the stand with something I did at Berwick Rangers. So I had to spend the first season there.
How did you do at Berwick Rangers?
It was Sandy Roy, who's an Aberdeen guy. I've seen him a lot since. He sent me to the stand, and it was just a case of I got out the dugout, the old Arbroath ground, and just, was it Montrose? Montrose, the old Montrose ground. Just got out and just stepped over and sat in the stand. I was about 2 feet from where I was, the bench, because I had complained about a decision, and they sent me, I've got fined £1,000 at that time,
£1,000
and banned to stand for a year.
That makes my band look feeble.
But when I went, I had to spend the first year in that doing the bit. You weren't too far away from the dugout at Brockville, and but when he went about, and it didn't start too well there either, because they told me they had a lot of great players. If you looked at Jim Duffy had left. I took over for Billy Lamont, but Jim Duffy had built a decent side when he was a player manager there. And but again, you just go in there and believe what you're doing right. And if there was any going to step out of line and that, then tough. If you don't want to be here or think you're. But again, after 5 or 6 games, getting a lot of criticism, the chairman pulled me in. He says, he says, you're going to get a job to the end of the year, because there was murmuring even at the boardroom level. He says, are you going to, I need to know what you're going to do. I says, well, I've got a plan. I says, well, tell me it. I says, well, I believe that, I don't know if you'll get away with it, but he's got to go, and he's got to go. He says, well, how are you going to do it? I says, well, I've got an offer of 60. I says, but you've turned down a couple of hundred for Leeds United, supposedly. He says, but I can get 60,000 for Kilmarnock, and there's a player there that I want. Do it. What are you going to do with the 60,000? Because he said you can have it. So I went and I spent hours and watch games at night, Billy Brown and I. Then I started to bring in, I got Simon Stainrod, who was magnificent for us, Eddie May, who was out the picture at Brentford, Tommy McQueen, who was at West Ham, and built a team. We went fantastic. They had never won the league. I've taken our team where the chairman has told them they're going to win the league. And they've never done that in their life. And in those days, you could get 2 teams. They've always went up as runners-up.
Is that right?
So in that year, there was only one team was going to be promoted, and that was the champions. And we started well behind the ball game. But we got a side together, started playing great football, and we won the league. It was just fantastic in the first season there. So.
Right. It was an up and down time as well, relegated in 93. And then you got promoted again. Yeah,
well, when it's like everything else, when you're, we had a great season in the league. I mean, I got standing ovation for the football that we were playing, and we got relegated. That year.
Did you still get advantage, right?
We beat Hearts 6-0, and a couple of weeks later, didn't have enough points. And it was because we were doing well. Big clubs were coming in for our players. We lost Kevin McAllister, who was outstanding for the Hibs bottom. And then we lost other players, and it was just a case of built a team, goes up, half of them's moved away, and now I've got to build again. But we went down, but we came right back up the following season. And then when I left them, we nearly qualified for Europe. I left them in 5th place, I think.
See, when you said you beat Hearts there, was the Hearts job when you were a Falkirk manager, is it something that you always looked at and think, I'd love to be the Hearts manager?
There's a little bit. I would be lying if I said there's a little bit thinking, well, how far would I go, love to manage Hearts, because I supported them and played for them. So of course it was never thinking it would come round, and it was funny because I got a phone call one time before that game. Wallace Messer had used a third party to phone me, and I knew the boy well. And he phoned me up and says, would you like to be manager of Hearts? And I says, why? He says, who's
asking?
He says, listen, he says, I'm the middleman. He says, would you like? He says, I've got to take the information back. And I said, well, you've got a manager. I said, the best thing to do is you need to approach the club, or you've got a manager. He said, no, but if he doesn't get a result on Tuesday night against the Hibs here, right? He says, I think he might be looking for a manager. Said,
that's the only time you've wanted Hibs to win a game. That's the only time you've wanted Hibs to win a game.
So I say, I actually says to him that I says, look, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want you to approach the club. If you've not got that, I says that might win, and then it's all. So just leave it. Just forget it, And he went. He says, but that's what will happen if it won't become. I said, that's up to you. I'm telling you, I'm not interested in talking before it or that. You sort it, because it might never happen. And it come here that they went 1-0 down to, I think it was Gordon Hunter scored the goal, and Hearts equalised. They finished 1-1, and he kept it to the Saturday, because I never got a phone call, because they got a result, and I never heard from him. But the funny thing was, he did have the chairman phone me to speak to me, to say, look, I've got to leave it, blah, blah, blah. But he left the phone on. And he was going to Cosmo's restaurant with his wife. And I could hear the conversation in the car because I couldn't get him away, you know. And he was talking about yeah, we just talked about, you know, my situation and should we get my hearts and all that. What do you think? He's done a great job at it. I could hear there was a conversation for about half an hour. I didn't tell her. I took, you know, obviously Wallace moved, passed away, and when I was speaking to Anne a couple of times, his wife, she was a lovely person, that, and just to mention a bit about that phone call, and she used to laugh about it, you know.
Brilliant. So when was the time that you actually knew you were going to be the Hearts manager?
Well, it was I didn't, because I was on my way to Inverness with Falkirk for a pre-season, to just take him up and have a few games up there. And when I got a call from our chairman to say Hearts want to speak to you, and Chris Robinson at the time had said that he made his mind up, he was wanting me as manager after that. Not to get me as manager, because he appointed somebody. He made the decision. He was at the game with the 6-0 before. He says, I made my mind up to buy the Hearts from Wallace Messer. He says, because that made his mind up. He wanted to try and purchase Hearts.
Right.
And he told me about that. And then he come here, come after me after that. And then I had to come here and have a chat. And that was quite funny, because after all, carry on and everything about saying I was coming and then staying and coming again, Chris had said to me, he says, you know, surprised at you after making a decision. He says it was something you said that stuck with me. He says, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And he says, and I got, for money, I knew Falkirk. Falkirk didn't have anything. They were offering me fortunes. I knew they couldn't even be in a position to pay it, you know. They said to me, listen, we've been last game of the season relegated, having to win the last game of the season for 2 years in the trot to save the relegation. What's wrong with Hearts? You come to the games to watch them on behalf of Falkirk. You come to, my boy's a Hearts fan. As a kid, I used to bring him to the games. What is it? I says, well, you're the only people in Scottish football that don't know what's wrong. I says, what you've got here is you've had 5 managers in 10 years when you nearly won the league. You nearly got into a final. You nearly won the cup. You nearly did this, you nearly did that. And I said, great players, done fantastic for the club, but you've had 5 managers. But it's a fact, the same players are still here. And maybe it's time for change. It happens in football. And I will be honest with them and tell them, and I'll give them a chance, because Hearts had no money to replace them, but they were on trial with me. They were, you know, I couldn't let that happen again. Yeah. And but it started. We got the usual lift with a new manager. We got first game, we won, great, went on, and then it suddenly come back. The old habits came back, and blah blah blah. And went to Falkirk, big day at Falkirk and I was, it was very uncomfortable for myself, because he's changing my mind to come back to tell them I was staying and then coming. So it was a pretty, and I had 3 new players in that day, a couple of the new goalkeepers, Gilles Rousset. But when they got beat 2-1, you know, I just put in my dressing room and I said, look, that's it. I'll be honest, there's 8 games played. Looks like we're going down the same path. Club's no money to replace you. It's Hearts you're playing for. I said, we should be doing better. It's not good enough. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And I says, I'm going to change it next week, not just for 1 week. I'm going to change it now. I'm going to bring in what I can for the younger element. I'll work my socks off this week to get 2 or 3 new players through. The Bosman rule just happened to come out at that time. Yeah. That's how I was getting Gilles Rousset. And I says, and see if it doesn't work. I said, it might not work. I says, but if it doesn't work, people can never accuse me, no, at least he had tried to change it.
Something different,
And I got 3 players in that week. Lockie came through, made him captain right away. Just got the change. The club needed, and I said that at my interview, the club needed the change. And that's no disrespect to these players, because they all got, but it had to change.
How did they players take it?
Quite rightly, I'd been the same as them. I wouldn't have liked it, because, you know, it's like everything else. It's a great club and supported, and these were fantastic servants to the club. As it was, some of them weren't there so long, but I kept the ones that I felt could do a job for a little bit longer until I got equivalent or better, replacing them. But the change needed to happen for the whole fans. I couldn't go through it again. And, and then when we started gathering, that's when we got a wee bit better. Like Chris said, we're doing well, but we're not in the stage where we can go and buy. So I had to do, I swapped David Hagan for Stevie Fulton, and I swapped, I got David Weir for Craig Nelson and Brian Hamilton. And, I knew these players that were better than what we had. And then when we did do well in that first year with getting to, we've gone from just surviving last year to 4th in the league in a Scottish Cup final. Even though it didn't go for us, it was a fantastic
How
season.
proud are you when you've done that to your own club?
Well, it was great because even at that time it allowed me to I stole a couple of players. Colin Cameron from Wraith Rovers for, I think I had no disrespect, John Miller and maybe 60 grand or something. And then Neil McCann was on his way when Jim Duffy says, look, he doesn't want to go to Stroom Grass. His wife doesn't know where to go. She'd expect her for. I says, well, I've not got any money. He says, look, anything. He says, because we're getting nothing. It's like we gave about £80,000.
For Neil McCann,
for 2 million. So it just started to snowball and get better and grow arms and legs and get better. And that's how we started to improve,
See, on the players' lock.
People forget in the 5 years we were here, we were in 3 major cup finals. And 4 years in Europe.
Wow.
So it was a good little...
See, the players that you mentioned, Naismith, Locke, Fulton, Cameron, Davy Weir, Alan Johnson, did you know that they players would go on have the
well,
great
I'll tell you
careers
what I
that they
said to
did?
them. I says, when people question, I said, well, wait a minute. In fact, I asked one of the backroom staff, I'll not mention them, when I first took the job, I says, what about the young boys? I says, they've won the Reserve League Cup. They've won the Reserve League in the last 5 years. I think they've won it twice. And I can't say, so, why they not had a chance?
Yeah.
How do you ever know that they're not good enough? I say, so I'll tell you what, there's 5 of them in next week, 3 of them in, and I think we played Wraith Rovers here and beat them comfortably. And then it just went on from there. It just got better and better.
For the young guys, you need good older pros as well. I think you kept on to John Robertson, Craig Levine, John Colquhoun. How important were they for you at your early stage years?
Fantastic for the club. And as I said, it come to the stage where, they've been consistently good for 10 years. Somebody, and I know for a fact, I've spoken to the previous managers, they knew that's what was needed. Tommy McLean.
So why did they not do it?
Well, as I said to you, you learn from mistake. That they felt that was a mistake they made, and they said you're 100% right to do. I wanted to do it, but and it's a funny thing. And it's not the players' fault, but there were a lot of them put on pedestals by the supporters as being, and quite rightly, great players. But it was always the manager's fault, or when you look at 5 managers they had in that before I came, they were all decent records, and Joe Jordan, Tommy McLean, all did well for their clubs. So I just thought, well, there has to be a time come when you need to change it.
See, the young players you were talking about, was there one that stood out in particular for you?
At
Hearts, your
youngsters.
Weirs, Locks, Naismiths.
Well, we knew, we did our homework. We knew Lockie was going to. He was somebody that the older players respected.
Even as a young kid,
yeah.
And why was that?
I think I got the vibes that people like Robbo and Kai and that wanted them. They felt they wanted them in the team anyway.
Right.
So they were delighted that I brought in a couple of youngsters, but because it helped for them. They had to either play or these boys were going to take over. But they got in, and I said to Billy, see if we're starting afresh. See if we're talking about changing everything here. Let's start with a new captain. Show the fans and everybody here that this is a new, because that's what Chris Robinson was after. He was after a new era. He was, I think he even maybe took it to extremes by changing the badge and changing a couple of the rooms here, like the Willie Ball thing. But that didn't go too well. But I think that was all sorted out. But so on the football side, so why not? Young, vibrant. He's a Hearts fanatic. He's got the respect of the players, and we liked his attitude at the training and everything. And of course, then when you bring in all the boys who'd come through with Richie, Alan Johnston, Alan McManus, it was just a case of these boys were going to play for you because they've been dying 4 or 5 years here waiting for a chance. And it just just took off. Gordon Strachan was the manager of Coventry. They had Richardson as their chairman. The two of them worked closely together, and they phoned me up and offered us 1.2 million for a look at that time, which was a lot of money. We turned it down because what was the point of
building on this? Yeah.
And the fans would say, as soon as we get a decent player,
same old tarts.
Sold them. You know what I mean? So,
how could you have been? Obviously injuries curtailed him a wee bit, but how good could Lockie have been?
No, it'd been loads of caps. He probably wouldn't have been here. You know, as long. He'd probably moved on to a bigger club in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. And it was just hard how the injuries came. But in a way, fantastic for us. Because and that's what was the great thing, is that Lockie didn't mind that, because Hearts was his passion. He'd been here like I was as a kid. And it was just, so even the worst scenario for him was that he was playing at a club he loved, and as you see, he's had a great career here on and off the park. You know?
What about problems that first year? I know you finished 4th in the league, but was there any problems through that season, like older players, or was there times that you had to really...
It was hard to tell people, like Gary Mackay moved away to, great legend, great guy, great player. But I had to change it. Even I brought people in who weren't probably as good as Gary, but because it was the effect of the change.
Yeah.
You know, people coming and did me a great job. Paul Smith was only a short term here. Alan Lawrence was only short term here. There was people coming short term. It was me of instigating a change, so that when the players came that I could get and that I wanted, and I didn't say I wanted them, I knew they would do me a great turn. They were on it. Paul Smith was a Hearts fan.
Yeah.
So I knew he'd bust a gut to.
Did you get a bit of stick when you let Mackay go?
It's the same when Darren Jackson came here. Darren Jackson, you know, for all the time at Hibs and Celtic and that, his father was a fanatic here, and he made him very proud when we signed Darren. Darren did a fantastic job for us. So you've got that thing that you know that they're self-motivated. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You've never had the fact that confrontations occur in changing rooms. Is there a certain thing that players do that really peeve you?
I think the big one I remember in the dressing room, which you wouldn't, and I wouldn't do it nowadays because it's just not acceptable. You don't get away with what I got away with, probably Walter Smith and all these managers before. They've all done it. And Lockie will tell you when he probably come here, the managers used to go in there and used to sit there and take it. You know, you had to. You don't get. You couldn't. If I was a manager now, or say I was starting to be manager, I couldn't get away. I wouldn't manage the same as I would.
You'd be different.
Be different, because you've got different people and different things altogether. But when we could, then there's two stick in my mind, and one was Berwick Rangers, Neil Oliver, who I took to Falkirk and sold him to Blackburn for 40 grand. But he made a mistake in the last minute and cost me a goal, a draw. We were 185. And I had him pinned up against, Yogi was there, he only stopped me smacking him, I think, because I had him pinned up against the wall and I was getting him. And of course I never thought that when it was all over you could hear a pin drop. And I turned round and who's facing me? Bang, his father.
No,
who was the kit man?
That was the kit man.
And he looked at him and he went, Gaffer, I'm glad you did it because I was going to.
Brilliant.
So that was one. But the other one was we went away, there was a B&Q Cup at Falkirk, and that was the one that stuck in my mind, B&Q Cup. And you were playing the Premier League were out of it. It was all the teams in the lower division. The challenge,
playing every year.
So we went, I said to the boys, listen, the club's bonuses, there'll be nobody at the games and that, we're going to pay bonuses. What if I put to the board that if we get through to the final, they'll take us away and prepare for the final? So I went into a board meeting and said, look, it wasn't fancy. We went to Nerka. I had a contactor there. Went to Nerka, away from the bright lights and that, just in this basic 3-star hotel, got training facilities. And it was great. The boys loved it. Had a game of golf leading up to the final on the Sunday at Motherwell against St Mirren, who'd beaten comfortably in the league twice. Well, I'll tell you, we were still in, and it was a horrible day, sleet, rain, 6,000 Falkirk supporters there in Motherwell ground. And we come in it was 0-0 at half time, and they were all over us. Tony Parks had a fantastic game. They could have been 3 up. Jimmy Bone was the manager.
Some memory you've got by there.
They come in, and Billy says, what are you going to do? I says, Ferry, we've not got time to go through them all. What are you going to do? I says, one of them, he's going to get it. And it was a little chap called Richard Cadet, great player. But he was still in Spain, right? Never tried a leg and everything, and too cold, and wet, miserable. So I come in, and I knew he would react. That's why I picked him.
Yeah.
So I came in and absolutely dogs him, just really in his face and that. And I grabbed him, and I did realise, I seen the bits of me, because obviously I must have scraped him a wee bit.
I thought it was his buzz there, sorry.
No, I got him by the foot.
That's right.
Because he came up in my face, so I grabbed him, just, I don't know, like that. And they're all in, Yogi's in, and Kevin Drinkle and all that. So, and I said, you fucking still in Spain and that. And he was the only one that got it for 15 minutes. And Yogi, calm down, Gaffer, calm down, you'll take this. I was raging. And we go out, and when the ball was centred, right, he run further, he run quicker to rob the boy from the centre spot. Right? Gave the ball to, I think he gave it back to Yogi, who passed it out to I think it was Ray McCall, put the ball in the box within seconds. And he'd bust a gut to get in the box, and he just missed it. But fortunately for us, Neil Duffy was coming in at the back post and stuck it away. We went 1-0 up within 30 seconds.
Genius.
And he was just, and I've never seen a man play possessed. So when we got back, I could still see his red marks and things like that. And Kevin Drinkle and I were standing, and went back for a celebration, won the cup 3-0. And we got back to the Park Hotel in Falkirk. So I was up at the bar, and he's coming, isn't he? Drink says, that's Cadet's on his way up to see you, He says, watch, you might be a bit angry, So I was at the bar, and he taps me on the shoulder, and I thought, if I turn around, he might smack me, And Drinkle was there, says, look, I'll keep a... So I'll just stay in case. And he says, can I buy you a drink? I says, buy me a drink? He says, I've got a drink. He says, if you hadn't did what you did, we wouldn't be winning it. And I've got a medal here that meant the world to him. He says, if you hadn't have done what you did, I wouldn't have that medal. And he bought us a drink, and we got fine. It's great, wee things like that, just to remember was great. But that would probably be the most, Lockie will tell you, I've got
Was there any players that would always have a go back, always have a chirp back?
I lost it at Falkirk that day when we lost. I think I lost it there a wee bit,
right.
Telling them, about prima donnas and, I had, there was that week, what annoyed me was there was a trailer here with BMWs and Audis and that being, it's for the players and that, and looked after great with Hearts Club and that, getting beat at Falkirk just doesn't sit me. And though I have to say that was a Falkirk team that I built. You built it. Well,
right, you reached the Scottish Cup final in your first season, but it was a 5-1 defeat to Rangers. Why? Why was it such a heavy defeat? Was Gary Locke going off early? Did that throw your game plan a wee bit?
Of course it did. Yeah, we had to make a change quickly. Where it changed for us, right? Because it won nothing. You're in the game. We won nothing down at half time. If you look at the players that Rangers had, Gascoigne and Loudrup and all that. This was never going to be an easy ask. And it's our first year. We've come fourth in the league, and we gave them a run for their money. We've played well against them, and we go there, and we know because we'd beaten them that year, and we thought we've got a chance. Everybody gave us a chance. The goal that Giles lost just after half time through his legs from a cross that just slithered through, you could see.
2-0, the game's done, isn't it?
What we then did is we took off Pascali because there's no need for it. We had to open up. The mistake we made was we left the two young centre halves. The two full-backs played as wing-backs, and we went to a back four. Right. But they pushed on as they were doing to get us back in the game. And the two, whenever the time Rangers hit us on the break with Loudrup and that, with two young kids, Richie and McManus, it was just... It blew us away, but it was the two, and I felt sorry for Giles because, he was never that, could never see him losing a goal in that card, and it was just a moment, just that wee bit of concentration. He's probably thinking of who we're going to give this to when I catch it. You played the game, it happens, but that's why I was so pleased in the cup. They were all heroes, but he was a major. I'm glad he got man of the match because it made up for that little mistake he made. I said to the players, I says, well, there's only one way to get out of your system. You get back here as quick as you can. Put it right.
Yeah.
That's what, not me, the whole lot of us put it right. And we nearly did that, as you can see, the next League Cup final.
And it was 4-3 on that day. These were level at 2-2.
It was only one winner until Gascoigne had 15 minutes of sheer genius, where he scored 2 goals that nobody else was in the park could have scored.
See, sometimes as a manager, there's just nothing you can do. But
well, what we were aggrieved about 2-2 when it led to the third goal, there was a foul in front of us that even Richard Gough said that it should have been a foul, but it wasn't. And Gascoigne was allowed to play on, and he just walked past Peaceful, put it away like he's done. That's why he was such a great player. And he came up with a second winner, and then we still came back late on. It was, but you know, when you come in after being 5-1 a final, and then 4-3 and played great, it gives you a lift, it gives you hope. You know, right,
we're getting closer.
Next time, third time lucky. You know.
And then 1998. Wait, so you haven't been beaten twice by them? Was there a wee bit of fear, doubt in your mind going into the game, or was that as confidence you've been going into a final?
I was very confident for 2 reasons. Well, the main reason is when we took the boy out, we were finished the season quite well. We'd again run Rangers and Celtic close. I got the manager year thing, and Paul Ritchie got the young player of the year and things like that. So there was a buzz about us and that, and we took them away down to where Scotland trained for the Euro Championships in England. Same venue. Craig Brown fixed it up for us. But we took them down on the Sunday. The coach was down went away on the Saturday and picked us up. We had a game of golf and relaxed on the Sunday. But then it all started. Told the players at a meeting in the morning what we were going to do. Train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, morning and afternoon. That's it. Nothing Saturday other than just meet the press and just kick and piss about at Tynecastle and maybe go through some set plays. On the Sunday, Friday we'll come in, do nothing, just to go through the set plays again and head for Dunblane. But I did say to them, I says, we've looked at the stats, we've played, this is our chance, right? And they gave the reasons why, because there was no Gascoigne. Loudrop was going to Chelsea, so Rangers had lost the league in the League Cup. They're on a downer. Walter's leaving, Thingland leaving, players are going, though they will want to not leave. The worry we've got is will not leave, and we know Loudrop can, but he can win a game on his day. But look at the midfield, none of them, Gattuso, McCall, none of them any creative players, hard workers and good players, but not going to kill you like Loudrop and Gascoigne. You'll never try to drum into them. No way have we not got a chance here. And here's the other reason, because we're not going to play the same. We're going to work morning and afternoon, morning with the ball, afternoon without it. You know, and all like with the other team in possession, you know, and how we set up. And then we said, with them not playing, these boys are not all on the downer, and we talked about their midfield. This will be the best chance, and you'll never believe how you're going to get treated if you pull it off, because it's 40 years. Yeah. And there's people believe that they're never going to see Hearts win a trophy. And this is your chance. You'll never get a better chance. Gascoigne's away. Now here's the other reason is we've lost, counted it, with 13 goals in 4 matches against Rangers. So we're thinking, we've lost, and we've had plaudits saying, oh, Hearts played well and great game. And I says, aye, but we lost, we were only a game we got 2-2 draw or something. And I said, we've lost 13 goals. So divided by 4, can we afford to give Rangers 3 goals yesterday? Because that's what you're asking us to do. And I said, no. I says, right, we have to play differently.
Harder to beat.
We've been getting hit on the break. So why don't we hit them on the break? Because we're asking them to attack, and if you've got McCall and them who are all grafters, and when they've got Ian Ferguson,
make them try to create something. They can't do it.
They can't do it because they were just sitting back. We were attacking them, and they were hitting us on the break because they had Dury and Loudrop and all that, and they had the spaces to kill us. So we'll just sit. So we worked on that, and they believed it. So when we got back, there was one person that I had said to them on the Monday morning, I says, we'll know tomorrow. There's the one guy in their team that was pulling them out of trouble all the time. Alberts. Free kicks. He killed us with 2 free kicks. We should have beat them at Ibrox. 2 free kicks to get a draw in the last minute of the first half and last minute of the game. And I says, that canny, he might not be able to play because if it's a red card, automatic red card against Dundee United, he'll be out for the game. And he was. We got word on the Tuesday he wasn't playing. So,
see, when you hear that news, do you celebrate a bit?
Well, it gives you more belief. We've not got him to worry about. Gaffer's right. We can take care of him. We've got better players in the middle of the park than they have in terms of flair and ability.
Yeah.
Maybe not as good as Gascoigne and Laudrup and all that, but at the end of the day, the team Rangers had to play of what their selection was, and this thing about the more pressure on them, they've not won a trophy, they're all packing up at the end of the season, they'll never get a better chance.
Yeah, and a busting start as well, wasn't it?
Well, the first fact of scoring the goal just suited their plan to a T.
Then you could sit in.
We could
even
sit
more so.
We could sit in more so. We always wanted to carry a threat because we always knew we probably had to score, but to get that goal early just gave everybody a belief, and it was, mind you, it was a hectic last.
My coach, did you think the ref had given a penalty?
Well, I spoke to him, as I say, Willie gave us the answer, which we accepted. It was because he gave a penalty. He would have gave a penalty.
Right.
But what the signal was before the game is that if the linesman runs to the corner flag, Willie gives a penalty. If the linesman stays on the corner of the 18-yard box, he knows it's a free kick. That was their way they were working. They talked about it. Willie told me, he says, I'd have gave a penalty. But he says, if he had run to the corner flag, right, he says, because I couldn't see it. But when he stayed on the level with the 18-yard box, I knew it was outside the box. That's the message that he gets. Because there was no earpieces or anything. Is
that the most nervous you've been on the side of the pitch?
Not without a doubt. No.
That game, yeah?
I think if it was...
Do you expect the worst as a manager when it's like that?
Just tense. Well, you start to believe, don't you, when you're getting down, when you've seen that, we were hoping that the ball would always go to Amoruso because he was hitting Rosed all the time for free kicks and having shots for 45th. We had dealt with that all day, you know. But you can't count them out. They've been brought, even to this day, you can never count Rangers and Celtic because that's in their DNA, going right to the whistle, scoring late goals. Hearts had witnessed that with semi-finals and finals with Hearts, and I think it wasn't a couple of years before that happened, was they not in a semi-final and they were 1-0 with about 3 minutes to go and they lost a week and then lost a goal later when Henry Smith was in goals and that. It can happen, so you're just delighted. And the only thing we thought was 7 minutes was a long time to...
First stoppage. Could you hit somebody when you see 7 minutes ahead?
Well, it's, we're wondering why he did it. And then he gave us the reason. He says that the big goalkeeper was...
Time wasted.
In Wally's words, excuse my French, but he said he was fucking about, And I says, he was good ball at his feet. I said, it's up to Rangers to go and make him pick it up. The Rangers were that knackered by trying to score a goal that when they came back, they didn't know what to go. They let him, but Wally took that as he was time wasting.
Wally's hope was and then can you describe the feeling when the final whistle went?
Oh, it's the greatest day.
Best feeling you've had in football, that?
Without a doubt. Absolutely, 100%. It was just what we said to the players, now we knew, I knew that how these supporters would react to these players. And they're all legends, they're all heroes now. Because when you do it and since then, I always said it was the catalyst. You go 40 years and then in 2006 they win it, albeit it was against Gretna, and they beat the Hibs 5-1. So in that next, 10 year spell, they've won it twice after waiting 40 years. So we knew that first time. In fact, Sandy Clark said to me when we went to Mallorca, he says, I'm so envious, he says, because he knew like I did that if you were the first person to win that trophy after 40 years, how much it would mean,
See, when you win that and the final whistle goes, do you think back to the other defeats that you've had against Rangers in the final? What is it that goes through your mind? Is it previous experiences? Is it just jubilation for the boys?
For the times we were defeated?
Yeah. Do you think about that when the final whistle goes? Nah.
Just look forward to what I say to them, you would never believe for the next few weeks. But it went, years it went on. They were just held in great esteem. You see them when you turn up at reunions like the last one and see the response. And Budge said to me, she said that I knew you'd get a response, but this is something that she never ever envisaged or experienced. She says how much and esteemed are held in. I says that the first team was always going to be that, and the squad was great.
The players went mental that night. How did you and Billy celebrate?
I actually didn't feel. They say you can get drunk on adrenaline, you know, because you get offers a drink, you just can't. You're taking it on. We had a fantastic night here. I mean, the journey back was.
How was that? The bus? Was that the bus?
I mean, when we picked up the Range Rovers and the scarves were tied to the police Range Rovers at Livingston, and then we've gone along past Wester Hales when the fire engine guys are dancing on the top of it, and then getting from Cheshire to Tynecastle the bus was going at 2 miles an hour. That's why they could go on top, and you couldn't get away. I mean, that's dangerous, but the bus was moving that slowly. Nobody was in any
rush.
They were all drunk in the bus going, but it was just an unbelievable.
Would you ever get emotional, Jim? Would there be tears in it? Eh?
Well, I tell a story once. When we went along, all the boys I think had gone out of town, but we had booked into the Callie with the family, and then my friend that was a guest of mine, and that we were there, and we got up next morning because we had the parade, which was another fantastic day. But then I was rough. I didn't feel I had a lot of drink. I was just rough, maybe that.
Tired.
So they didn't do anything in the wee shop at the Callie. So she says, the Shanwick place is open at Boots at Shanwick. Right. So I walked along, and the streets were pretty bare at 8:30. So about 8:30, 8 o'clock. And this guy came along, and he's hanging over, and he had a coat on, his scarf was trailing along the ground. And he said, so I stopped him. There was nobody there, I just stopped. He said, you had a great day yesterday? Oh, he says, did I have He never looked up, just slightly. He says, did I have a great day? He says, see that Jim Jefferies? He says, God bless him. And so when I walked past, he stopped about 10 yards past me, and I could hear him. He wouldn't turn around to look at me, and he just went, no, it couldn't have been.
And walked on.
He must have had that split second where he thought, that's Jim
Jefferies.
No, it couldn't have been. He just walked on, you know, it's funny.
Amazing. Just wanted to ask you about the social culture. I know you were a big one for Magaluf. Best day they're better in the final, the days in Magaluf.
Magaluf was always a great way just going at the cup final weekend, because we knew a lot of teams used to go there. Bert Payton, who was my coach here at one time when I played, he was managing Dunfermline. Dick Campbell and the assistant, they were waiting for us coming because they knew. So they were with a bottle of champagne on the veranda. They were in the next hotel, but they came out to our hotel.
So they had the bottle of champagne waiting for you and everything?
They were all, Jimmy Bowen, because he was part of their team, John Young, they were all in the kit man. They were on a circular table on the veranda. They knew when we were arriving. And now one thing I learned about Magaluf, right, and this is another thing I can pass, if you're going to take your teams to Magaluf, because the first year I stayed in the same hotel as the players, the Buckster. Right. I made say to Billy, no
Never
chance.
Again.
Right? I says, what are you going to do? I says, well, next year we're on a different floor for a start. So we went the next year on a different floor. I says, that didn't work. then we had the hotel next door. That didn't work. So they're at one end of the town, and we're up at the other end, away from them. But when we meet up with them and that, they were just sitting. The first thing they did, go to their bed, was down at the beach, just sitting at a bar every day of the week, just
getting life in.
Just taking it all in, and it's fantastic. And of course you hear the stories and that, but
you're not involved in that.
I'm not involved in
What team would you worry about the most? Was there a certain team that could be a bit wild? Or a certain group?
No, I think both teams. At Falkirk, we had, we never, and that was another great thing. I used to say, Yogi would ask me for permission to, like, we went to a trip when we were at game, we went down to play a friendly at Ipswich. Gaffer, can you let the boys out for the night? I says, all right. So I'm looking at the clock, and I says, 12 o'clock. Oh, 12 o'clock, it's 10:30 now. I says, well, what do you want? I says, well, give us the 2. I says, 2 o'clock? I says, aye. So I'll tell you what I'll do with you. As long as you're there for the bus in the morning, but you've got to guarantee me, right, that there'll be no trouble or nothing in the, because that was one worry you always had, especially with photos and that. You pick up the paper and it was like Walter Smith says, because when he had Gascoigne, he never looked at the back page of the record, because all football managers do, but we always looked at the front page first. And I thought, well, I'll remember that. And then when he went these trips, it might have been with Stevie and all that. But Yogi was great, because what he said was, I'll tell you what, right? Because he couldn't believe I'd said that.
Yeah.
He's got an extension to 2 o'clock. I've given him to 7 o'clock in the morning, right? So he says, Gaffer, they'll be in at 3:30. I says, I'm not care when you're in. He said, they'll be in at 3:30. Because I'll be waiting for them. And I came in the next day, and he said, they were all in. They were all waiting. They were scared, more scared of Yogi than me. So I could just sleep peacefully, you know.
Brilliant. See, when you were flying at Hearts at that time, was there opportunities to leave?
Me?
Other clubs coming for you?
Well, I reckon if it was at that time, but I had an opportunity, yes, to go to another top Premier League club. They got in touch with me through a third party. They wanted me to fly to a hotel to just have a meeting. I didn't go.
Why not?
Because, well, I loved Hearts and I wanted to stay. We were doing well here, and I thanked them very much. Sometimes there was a bit in the press about it. One of the directors said, when I left here, he says, one thing that they weren't very happy about was that time because I come out and they were looking to say, look, I'm not interested, I'm at Hearts and that. But they've got to remember, what happens if the following season, which can happen, that the Hearts sack you. Yeah. And you've showed a great amount of disrespect to that team, because they might be looking for a manager then or in the future. Yeah. And then they say, oh, well, we weren't good enough if you come out and slaughter them and say, no, I'm not interested, you're not as big a club as Hearts and all that. So I just handled it and said, look, thanks very much. I'm really honoured that you've asked me, but I'm happy where I am. And it's my club and I like to stay. And they understood that and they were great. Right. So
what led to you leaving Hearts in 2000 then?
I got caught in the middle. 2 people that fell out on the board. And what it did was it revealed some things that happened at a board meeting, which has nothing to do with me. And I wasn't really that interested. But it seemed something was said and something was noted down, and I got it explained to me what it was, and I was quite happy to accept that. The person who had told me about it initially said that he could prove it to me that was brought, because they denied that happened. So when I found out, because I seen it in writing, then I confronted them and said, why did you lie? I was quite happy with everything that you done, but you lied to me. So how can we carry on working a close relationship when I can't trust you? You know, if you'd just been honest with me, it would have blown, and I said, well, that's your prerogative. You're on the board here. I'm like any other manager. I wasn't looking for anything. If I hadn't done enough or hadn't, I think it was referring to the season after, where we lost Cameron, Davy Weir and all these boys, and we struggled a little bit mid-table, and we had serious injury, and that's when we got Darren Jackson, and we ended up finishing the top half. So you think you would have got a little bit of leeway because you've been 4 or 5 great years. But I said, well, listen, I'm like any other manager, but don't lie to me. Yeah. You know, you should have just admitted that. Now, can I take what you say for truth? So it led to a bad thing, and I thought, let's just cut our losses now. And
is it a sad day leaving? Remember driving out here?
I phoned it was an interim chairman at that time, and I phoned him and I said, look, I need to have a chat about this, because I didn't feel comfortable going in and discussing matters and that. And I said, so we'll maybe come to it might mean that one of us has got to leave, and I can't wait it's got to be. So, and this thing about going to having Bradford and that was nothing. My kid's life, I can say that I never knew nothing about Bradford till 4 or 5 days later when I got a phone call. There was nothing planned or nothing done to suggest that I was leaving because I was going to Bradford in the Premier League. That was something that happened through somebody phoning up another person and says, what do you think of Jim? What do you do? He says, he's done a great at Hearts and Falkirk. He says he's definitely
the man for you.
So,
just quickly on Bradford, some characters there. Collymore, Dean Windass, who we've interviewed. Wild, didn't he?
What happened at Bradford was the chairman had spent a lot of money bringing, again, great players, coming to the end of their career. How are you ever going to keep the amount of players like 9? I know you have to have a strong squad, but there was 19 players, 20 players there who had all been used to first team playing regular, getting huge money at Bradford to stay. He'd brought through people who were in the club, like say Chris Kamara, Paul Jewell, Chris Hutchins, no experience of being the job because he wanted to do the job, but he wanted somebody else to carry the can, I think.
Right.
He's the worst person I've ever met in the
Is he in football, huh?
Oh, without a doubt. But the respect is that he was being chairman, he got them, he was in charge. So I said to him before I left, I said, why don't you just be the manager and do it? And, but it was, I mean, handling the players was always going to be difficult, but because I mean, Stan Collymore was terrific.
Was he, huh? Good guy.
He came here and played at Tynecastle. I'm sure Lockie would know it when we played Fulham.
Right.
And I know he was on trial that day. He hadn't decided to join. He came up and played in a game here and he was outstanding that night. And I just, for a chance, I've phoned his agent and I said, would Stan like to come and play in Scotland? And he said, no, he says he's got 2 or 3 good offers and you couldn't afford them anyway.
Right.
So when I got introduced him on the Saturday morning before they played at Derby, because I didn't take charge at Derby, I just went down to watch the game. I went across and met the players at the hotel. So we were just having a chat about it and a laugh about it, saying, well, I've got you this time. And all that. And I got him on. We gave him a couple of, even there was a couple of times when the weather was bad that he took a couple of, because he was well into the gym work and everything. So he did a couple of good training sessions for us, just as a wee change.
So he would take the boys for the gym, would he?
It was great. I never had any problems with him. In fact, he was on that big an antidepressant tablet, the physio told him, that he didn't give a hoot. You know, he's got from a great story about him where he, and here's an example, the chairman said, look, Stan's parked his big Range Rover over in that street and police and the people are kicking up him about it. He says, have a word with him and tell him he can't park there. So I went down and told them. And I says, and he went, yeah. So the next day, his car's parked there. Chairman calls me in before I go training. He says, Stan, did you tell Stan yesterday? I says, he says, well, he's parked it there again. So I says, okay, and the other people are complaining. So I goes down. Next day, I goes and says, he's still here, he's parked there again. So I goes at the chairman and says, right, that's the last time. So I goes down and says, Stan, you've been parking the car there. I says, and he's going to fine you, right? And it'll not be 50 quid, it'll be 500, you know. He says, when it gets to 50 grand, he's a shout. so it was actually, they were all right, the guys. But when you picked a team, there was going to be 7 or 8 there sitting, and a couple of them were naughty in the dressing room a couple of times. I got really running with Peter Beagrett when
left footer, he does his Sky Sports.
We beat Leicester that day. Ian Jess scored the goal, and I think Lockie was playing in the game, and we named the team, but he wasn't happy at being left out, and he reacted. But it was just a football thing. It wasn't. It didn't go to blows or just his attitude wasn't great, and he was on the bench. But after that, we got on further. They fought anyway. I had to tell him that you know that I can't pick everybody, and I've just got to go. But my job down there, my big job down there was the club were struggling for money. So the chairman asked me to says, look, I know we're going to, when we cut the squad down, we became a decent side. We had some really good performances. The last 10 games we were excellent. Couldn't ask for any more. Because we were a smaller squad, we were tighter. And at that time I had got £10 million off the wage bill.
Wow.
With people moving on, you know.
Talking of financial difficulties, you went to Kilmarnock. Can you give an example how severe it was there? Well, when I went there, I knew Bill Cosley was the vice chairman. He had appointed a sort of figurehead in John Orr, who was in charge of the Strathclyde police. He was in charge of the Lockerbie disaster and he was a great figurehead for the club. He did all this. Whereas Bill liked to be in the background. Him and Mr. Muffet that died, the son took over and they wanted to keep it in the family. So, but it was at the time, Simon, when, if you remember, they were going to do their own TV deal, and everything was all agreed. They were all meeting at Hampden, and Rangers and Celtic didn't turn up.
So they kiboshed the whole thing because they were all going to work on their own budgets. Kilmarnock had a budget on the basis that they had done, they looked at all the things on the books and what they could do, and they got their budget together. And when that deal fell through, we had to go in. Well, the money that they were expecting and balance for was gone. So we had to cut back. We had to lose people like Tommy Johnson, all the big guys. We had to cut it all down again and then start again, which I've done all my life, is building from scratch, and because they were, Kilmarnock were on some decent, they tried to get Stefan Adam here the year after they won the cup, and we're going to pay him £5,000 a week. It was just...
Is that the money they were paying?
That was the offer they made him.
Wow.
And,
is that the deal you got as manager?
That's not criticism. That was great that they could give him that and that. But when that people like Bill, when that happened, it caused a lot of internal people falling out with board and that. And Bill walked away. And Bill Cosley was a great man for Bill. He was Bobby Williamson. I'll tell you that he was very close to Bobby, and I got him. I still do get him. I'm great. But they were a great club and I really enjoyed it.
Because you were the longest serving manager in the SPL when you were there, so you must have enjoyed it. What's your most fondest memories of Kilmarnock?
I've got a regret. I just wish had I played, when we got to the final of the League Cup, which was massive for us, if I could have played the team that played in the semi-final against Falkirk, it beat them 3-0 at Motherwell, I think we would have won the cup.
Why did you change it?
I didn't change it. There's 5 or 6 out injured.
Oh, injured, right.
And some of them, other boys, were having to play out of position, not 100% fit. I couldn't play the team. Nowhere near the team. Danny Vincent wasn't playing. Simon was hobbling about. Simon Ford. People were out of position. Naismith should have played up front. We just couldn't handle it. And Hibs had a very, very, very good team with Brown and. That's when they came through Brown and Kevin Thompson. They were really strong.
Right, going back to Hearts, was there no hesitation in your mind going back to Hearts, even though Romanov?
Oh, aye, because I thought, well, I knew how it goes. The more successful you are there, the less chance the less time you've got. He seems to have protected people who were doing badly or had some difficulties. As opposed, George Burley lasted no length of time and was fantastic and got the top league. What a start
top
to the
league,
season.
Wasn't it?
And we come in here and I brought a lot of players in for virtually nothing. He was spending fortunes. And when we got the team, we made 31 points out of 33. And we challenged Rangers and Celtic and we finished in third. And then we knew right away then, we got into Europe. And in the opening game of the season, we go to Ibrox. And we were 3-0, 4-0 at half time would have been a fair reflection on our performance. But we got one. Naismith comes out and equalises the second half. But you take 1-1 away from home when they're unfurling the flag and things like that. And we were delighted to go to Europe and get a great result, 1-1. But we knew coming back for that day that he was looking for I heard for people inside that he was trying to get another manager because he'd always wanted me to bring a foreign coach in.
Oh, was he? What, did he say that to you? Take a foreign coach?
Up in the summer, I was on holiday. He says, and they got Sergei, who agreed with me, but he had to carry out instructions. They were scared for him, and said, look, Mr. Romanov wants you to bring in a foreign coach. I says, why? I said, I've got a coach, I've got Billy Brown. And Lucky's on the backroom staff, and he says, but we feel you need a. I says, you've just had a foreign coach in Csaba Laszlo, and I got his job. So what are you not happy about in that? And he says, well, he just feels that this is his way of interfering. So I says, well, if you want to get one, go and appoint one, no problem. But I says, it'll not be me. And I think that's what said. And I got on fine with him, but he was just, the press are right. It's mad, Vlad. He's just mad.
Was there any other odd conversation you can remember?
Oh, I could write a book about Vlad on my own. It'd be a bestseller on what he did. It'd be a bestseller.
I'll write it for you.
Well, there's a couple of boys have asked me. He says, I'd like to do it. The boy asked me, but I'd like to know where he is because he might send a hit team if
Did he ever try and pick the team, Jim?
I'll be all right if I take big Kevin Kyle with me.
Oh no,
he'll look after him.
Do us a favour and please do take him. We want him to get done in.
He would sort him out,
Would he ever try and pick a team around there?
Oh, many times. Well, he wouldn't. Give an example. Like we're playing Hibs, and we beat them down there, 2-1, I think it was, and we go and play Celtic in midweek. And we beat them 2-0, 2 great goals. Scatchell was outstanding, and David Templeton got the second goal. And we go to St Johnstone, right? And we think, well, this will be some week if we can finish it up there. 3 results. And because we had the service for the war, next day the service at Tynecastle on the Sunday, we dedicated that to that team that we lost the players in the war, because we got 3 great results, 2-1 away to Hibs, 2-0 in Celtic here, and we go to St Johnstone and win 2-0. But before the game, he phones me up and he says, I don't think Scatchell can play today. He's in Lithuania. And I says, why? He says, because he'll be intimidated. And I says, Mr. Romanov, I says, you mean you're a week late? I says, we played Hibs. I says, if there's anywhere he's going to be intimidated, because him and Griffiths had a wee... You remember that? Was it Griffiths?
Griffiths, yeah.
Had a wee spat. So I says, if any place he's going to be intimidated, be Easter Road, but he never said not to play him there. He says, I think he will be intimidated. It's not the right place to play him, so leave him out. So I says, I can't. He says, why not? I says, the team sheets are in. They weren't they? But he says, the team sheets were in. And he says, oh well, okay, see how he goes, keep an eye on him, and if it looks like he's not involved in that, take him off. 1-2 game 2-0, outstanding again. So we had 3 results in a week, and we dedicated it to the team when we had the service here on the Gorgie Suite. So
brilliant.
It was great.
Did you ever find out why you thought he'd be intimidated at St Johnstone?
No, I didn't. No. I says, and I'm looking, I says, St Johnstone, there'll be nobody there for a start, apart from the Hearts supporters. They're not the biggest club. It's not a packed stadium. I says, what players are going to intimidate? That's the thing. But that's the thing you got to put up. I mean, I had to watch him dancing, and he was in this Strictly Lithuanian style come dancing final. He won it, but he owned the bloody radio TV station anyway, so he was always going to win it,
Were you ever in his company for like a meal? Did you go for meals or?
Oh yeah, I got him. I got him fine with him. He was just mad. First day I met him, he's at a board. He's got a big board table, long. Sits at the other end, and I was in his office, and he's got this board. And suddenly he would talk to you, and then he'd sprint to the board and put initials of players, that he had, and crosses and everything on that. And he was all, and Sergey used to translate for him and say, well, he likes the wee link-ups with the left back, the left half, and all that. So I just let him rant away. But you've no idea what he did. You see, the boys are right, you come to training, and he's always gear. He's got a locker. Well, he's VR on it.
Training kit.
And then he would come on and stop the training and say, I need the young boys to come, I need a goalkeeper. And he would take penalties against the goalkeeper.
Would you ever
and we
say
were to stand round the 18-yard box cheering him. That's what he was like.
Would you ever say, Chairman, no, this can't go on now?
I'll give a cracker.
There you go.
Cracker. We're playing Union Berlin. We've got a couple of games over there. So we're playing Union Berlin. Big club. They were in the first division, but they were a big club. 30,000 or something there at training. So he's coming. We heard he's coming. So Sergey comes across and he says, Mr. Romanov's come to the game. He's flying in. So I says, oh, very good. You must congratulate him. I says, why? He says, he's a world champion basketball player. I says, he's fucking 5'5". I says, how's he a basketball player? And he says, you must. So I says, and tell Billy Brown to do the same. So I goes and tells Billy. So Billy says, what? He says, basketball. So he comes round the corner and we had to do it. Well done. And he's sticking the chest out, and Billy's like, we couldn't keep her laughing, to be honest. He must have caught on. So we come back. So I says to, he had a girl, I think she was related to the family, some Janice, lovely person. She worked in the office. I says, Janice, what about Mr. Romanov here? I think it was his uncle or his wife's was our aunt. I says, he says, that wasn't he wasn't in the basket. I said, well, I know that. He says, well, how does it come about? He says, in Brazil or Argentina, they had the over 55s basketball championships, and he sponsored the team. Aye. So what they did was, on the last game, they won it. It was a section thing. So in the last game, they'd won it before they played the last game. Because he sponsored it and paid the money, they thought for 30 seconds, they put him on with a strip. He's bouncing him, and he comes out, and now he's calling himself a world champion. I thought that's what he was like. I thought, this guy.
It's harmless, isn't it? But it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. You just had to laugh.
Was it tough with the massive squad as well at that time? Do you have a massive squad at Hearts at that time as well?
Listen, I remember when I first joined here, I had a wage bill at Kilmarnock for the staff, not staff, but the club. You were responsible for it. When I went to Kilmarnock, it was 3.5 million, which was huge. I had to, by the time I was there, I got it down to 1.2, 1.25, something like that. Never above 1.3. So that tells you there's a lot of big earners there that had to go in. So I come here, and Campbell Ogo says, I'll steer you through the muddy waters. Right? That was his first opening line to me. And I know Campbell well from his Rangers days and that. So Campbell says, what was your wage bill at Kilmarnock? I said, well, 1.2, 1.25. He says, I says, what's it here? He says, 9 million. 9 million, My first task was to try and convince Concalvis to stay. They were negotiating with Concalvis at £8,000 a week.
Wow.
Plus 2,000 appearance. But no, they offered them, they wanted £2,000 appearance. But they offered them 1,000. But he stuck it out, he didn't want 1,000, he wanted 2. Mr. Romanov wouldn't be beat. That's one thing about him. He wouldn't like the player to win, so he stuck it out. He was only going to give him 8.
Right.
But I was dealing with players at £1,000 and 500 and that. Suddenly I've got, and he was the highest, by a long shot, right? So the money that was going, 9 million from a club like Kilmarnock was 1.3, and that's what put the club into administration. That's the problem.
How soon could you see that there was going to be problems? When was the time that you thought, right, this is going to go tits up? Well,
I was away. When I left Hearts, I know that it wasn't long after that the problems hit. That the consortium of the foundation phoned one of the chaps that started up.
Yeah. They
were trying to buy the club. And they had these were the plans. There was about 4 or 5 guys, great lads. And they were telling me what their thoughts. They're trying, because the club was going to go under, so they were trying to negotiate a price. And they asked me a couple of things. I never gave away anybody's salary. I just said to them, look, they were asking about what would it take as a budget, because they were having to build a plan to buy the club.
Yeah.
And I says, well, I could draw you up what I think for a club like Hearts and colour code it. This is a bracket, you should have so many players in that bracket, and then your top 5 earners or something. and it's always, if they get better or improve, they can get into each bracket. So I did all that for them, and they were very grateful. But I told them that, because they said 9 million was the wage bill. He says, listen, money's tight at football. Hearts are a big club. They'll attract players better than a lot of clubs in the league. I says, you would get a fantastic squad of players for a third of that. You sure? I says, we were thinking half. Like, if you've got 4.5 you want to do, you'll get a better team then. But 3 is going to be plenty, because none of the rest of the teams can come in and compare with that. So I think they went ahead on that basis, and I was involved in a couple of meetings, but then I got the Dunfermline job and I had to pull away because I can't seem to be linked with both. I think they were keen for me to sort of be in the background with their meetings to try and help them take over the club, but I didn't.
Just last wee bit, Jim. 2011, 2012, you took the first 2 games and then you were sacked. What happened? Well,
I got an inkling that something happened, but when you finish the season 3rd in the league and in Europe, and I'd been that fortunate, I'd been running all over. I went to see them play the Hungarian team in Tromsø, who were favourites to go through, but a bit of a shock because I was in Norway, which is 45 minutes flying time for the North Pole. I was there one day, come back. Then we had to, after that 1-1 game with Rangers, I went out on the Sunday because the Hungarian team got through. So I've come back up for the Thursday game in Tromsø. I've gone to we've taken the team to Ibrox and got a 1-1 draw. But I was away on the Sunday morning to Hungary to watch their league game at home and then get all the details for going out there. So when I come back there was a sort of strange atmosphere with the staff and things like that. And I think but I never thought of it. We prepared the team and we flew out on the Thursday on the Wednesday
for the game on
the Thursday. And we get a draw, which was a great result away because we've got to go thinking, and I could see we'll beat this team at home. Yeah. And I come back on the Saturday, but I heard on the Friday that he was coming over and that he was going to, somebody tipped me off that he was, so we went into the Dundee United game and we should have won, we had chances, but we lost 1-0, but that suited him because he called me up and he didn't want me to leave. He says, I want to change the manager. I said, that's your prerogative. I asked him why. He says, well, what to go in different. It's always about this foreign coach, And I says, well, if that's what you want to do, it's your prerogative. Yeah. And I'm quite happy. I've started the season quite well. I've got you third last year. You're in Europe. And he says, I know I'm grateful, but I don't want you to go. And I says, what do you mean? Like? He says, we'd like to make you director of football. And I know they've had about 5 or 6, so I was trying to find out as much as I could. I said, well, look, I don't know. I said, I'll come in, let me think about that, and I'll meet you tomorrow and we'll discuss my contract. What do you mean? I says, well, I need my contract, so I've got 1.5 years in my mind. So he says, but you're not leaving. I says, well, but it's a separate job. It's a different job. You need to finish this one and then start and tell me what the director, if it was, I'll be a different salary for start. Yeah, he says it'll probably be about half of what they're on. Oh, I say, so you want me to work for half the money? I'm better going, I'm twice as well off. Yeah. You're doing it I think you're just doing it to save yourself money. You're not giving me the job because you really want to give me the job. You're just doing it as a way to try to save half the salary because you now want me to work for half. And how long will that last? Because the rest have only lasted a few months. And I'll probably go down the same path. So thanks very much, but no, just leave it for the lawyers to sort out. And I just got what I was entitled to. But not, and they try to get you for less, which all clubs do. It turned out that I made a donation from the amount agreed with them to the youth development thing. Well, all I did was get my contract paid with a bit less, but I gave
some to the youth.
Some to the youth. I says, well, cut it down to this and put that money towards the youth thing. I don't care if it went there or no. But at least I had the gesture that I did it. Right. And but that's what it was, Mm-hmm. And they were just trying to get me to because they wanted to use the other half of my salary for Paolo. And I've got to say, when I went to say cheerio to the boys, look, it says that Paolo would like to have a chat with you. And the man was great because he said that the replays, this is no my team, this is Mr. Jim's.
Jim Jefferies. Yeah.
He always called me Mr. Jim, he said, this is Mr. Jim. And most of the team that won the cup final, maybe a cup.
That's what I was just going to ask last question. Was it a bittersweet moment for you?
Oh, it was great because I brought a lot of these players to the club, and it was mostly Danny Granger and all these boys were boys I bought, and they just got the benefit. I'm not saying, he did a fantastic job of doing it because you still got to give the manager that. And I liked him because we met up when I got a wee bit TV, just radio work. I was remember talking there, they asked me to do the Hearts Dundee United game, and of course he was at the corner flag, and he seen me, and he come walking up, and when we chatted, I've met him a few times, and I got on great with him. He was a nice man. It wasn't his.
No, his not.
In fact, I loved it when Billy, his assistant, said to Billy, he says, "Can you give us any advice before you go?" Because Lockie says he wants to see you before you leave. I says, "Aye." So we come up and wished him all the best and that, and because I says, and Billy says, I says, "Have you given any advice for us before we go?" Billy says, "Aye. Get out here as quick as you can."
Last question, Jim. Would you ever get back into management?
People have said to me, "Come my health, that's just nonsense. I'm as fit as Craig did the same as what I did. He continued on as manager, but I've always said I'll never be out there actively. If somebody was to try and convince me to come out and take it, they might get me at the right time. I might daftly say, aye, I'm not genuinely looking for it. And I've enjoyed the wee sporting, Ferry was vice chairman at the time. I knew a big Hearts fan, and he heard me on a radio programme. He said that we would like us to come out. We don't know anybody, we need your contact. So I went and helped him out. And I found if I was some involvement, I'd like that. But who knows? I think it's maybe too late now. But if somebody was, even I thought, ever asked me about the Hearts thing when Craig left, and I said that it would only be if in an emergency till they got somebody.
Right, okay, for a few games, temporary.
Whether I could do something else, that's a different matter. But as far as being a manager, I'll never go out there and apply for it. Never did in the first place for any job that I got. And I was very fortunate to have a good career in management. So it was always they came and asked me to do that. And if somebody did and they caught me at a daft moment, it would cause me a few problems at home because I've been in it a long time. But I do like...
Miss it a wee bit?
I do miss it, I do miss it. But not so much all the hassles and
congratulating basketball
players, working with the players and the banter and all that. But I think most managers would say that anyway, But no, if it doesn't come, I've no regrets, and I've enjoyed, and just, as I said, what happened, I feel very fortunate to have got through that, being in the right place, and because I was healthy anyway, helped a lot. So I'm feeling great. So it wouldn't be something I would be knocking doors down to get into, like some people, we're in for every job. If somebody asked me, they might be lucky. I might just say, listen, why not?
Jim, been a pleasure. Thanks very much, mate.
Good.
Cheers, thanks
for that.